The stars of the Polaris expanse burned red and cold, their light scattering across the hull of the UAS Resolute as it orbited the shattered moon of Draxon 4. Inside the vessel's command deck, alarms pulsed in grim rhythm. Tactical maps flickered with red, each a symbol of a fallen squadron. The war against the Ketheri Dominion had dragged on for 17 years, but on this front, humanity was losing fast. Cadet Maris Vale stood at her station, hands steady despite the chaos. She was 22, the youngest pilot in the Soul Defense Corps, and the only human in her cohort to have graduated from the Multi-Species Military Academy on Helion Prime with distinction. Her instructors had called her a prodigy, her peers a reckless fool. Both were true. Cadet Vale, came the sharp voice of Captain Ren Varick, her superior and mentor. Our forward base at Outpost L9 is overrun. Command says pull back. We'll regroup at the secondary relay. Maris's jaw tightened. That base holds the quantum relay, sir. If the Ketheri breach it, they'll cut our entire sector off from reinforcement. Varick turned to her with a weary expression. Orders are orders, cadet. We're not dying to protect an abandoned relay. She wanted to argue, to protest, to demand they do something, but she'd been reprimanded before for speaking out of line. The Corps valued obedience more than passion. She saluted instead, though her eyes still burned with defiance. As the Resolute turned from orbit, the tactical display confirmed what she feared. The Ketheri forces were landing on the surface in waves, hundreds of attack craft descending like shards of black glass. The human defensive lines were collapsing. In the hangar, as the ship's pilots prepared for withdrawal, Maris stood beside her small, one-seat Ares-class fighter, vigilant. It was an aging craft, patched, scarred, but hers. She rested her gloved hand on its hull and whispered, "They'll take that base over my dead body." When the recall signal came, she didn't answer it. Instead, she sealed the cockpit and ignited the thrusters. The launch bay doors blazed open, and before anyone could stop her, Maris Vale broke formation and dove toward the surface of Draxon 4, alone. To descent into the war zone. The planet's sky was a storm of ash and plasma fire. The Ketheri had cracked the crust for mineral harvesting long before the war began, leaving gaping fissures that glowed like rivers of molten glass. Lightning danced across the atmosphere, distorting sensors and comms. Perfect cover. Maris skimmed low over the ravaged terrain, her pulse syncing with the thrumming of her engines. "Computer, lock trajectory on Outpost L9, she commanded. Coordinates confirmed. The onboard AI, Echo, replied in its calm synthetic tone. Warning. Ketheri signal interference at 87%. Stealth systems compromised. Doesn't matter, she muttered. They'll know I'm coming soon enough. Outpost L9 appeared over the horizon. What was left of it? Once a proud relay station of the Soul Defense Corps, it now burned with the blue fires of Ketheri plasma. The alien species, tall, crystalline beings of dark energy and living circuitry, moved through the ruins with methodical precision. They were more machine than flesh, their technology decades beyond human science. The Dominion's doctrine was simple: absorb or annihilate. Maris switched to manual controls and weaved through the aerial crossfire. A Ketheri interceptor spotted her and veered in pursuit, its engine trails glowing violet. The dogfight was brutal. Maris dropped behind a ridge, let the enemy overshoot, then looped upward and fired a plasma burst. The shot tore through the interceptor's wing, sending it spiraling into the dust below. "One down," she said through clenched teeth. "Only an army to go." Her comms flickered alive for a moment. It was Captain Varick's voice, distorted, desperate. "Vale, what the hell are you doing?" You're disobeying a direct order. Get out of there. I can't, sir. If we lose that relay, the entire front collapses. Someone has to stop them. That's not your call. You're a cadet. The signal died in static. Echo displayed a warning. Communications lost. Maris exhaled. Looks like it's just you and me now, Echo. Affirmative, said the AI. Tactical analysis suggests 0 probability of survival. Then we'll make it 1%, she said, her eyes narrowing. And work from there. 3. The enemy within. Landing was impossible. The surface around the outpost was crawling with Ketheri shock troopers, towering humanoid figures wrapped in armor that shimmered like mercury. So Maris did what no one sane would attempt. She crash-landed Vigilant straight into the enemy lines. The impact tore through the first barricade, scattering alien soldiers. The canopy shattered as Maris leapt out, plasma rifle in hand. Her armor, standard Soul infantry suit, whined as its shields adjusted to the atmosphere. She sprinted for the nearest trench, firing bursts that lit the ground in arcs of white heat. Echo, now projecting from her wrist console, tracked targets in real time. Multiple hostiles inbound from the north corridor. Then we move south, Maris replied. She ducked behind a ruined comm tower and reloaded. Her suit's diagnostics flashed red. Ammo low, shields unstable, oxygen timer ticking. None of it mattered. She had one mission. At the base's core stood the quantum relay spire, a massive crystalline structure that transmitted FTL communications across light years. The Ketheri were reconfiguring it to link directly with their central hive network. If they succeeded, they could intercept every human command signal in the sector. Maris fought her way through corridors half buried in rubble. The air smelled of ozone and burnt metal. She passed fallen soldiers, human and alien alike, each reminder of the price of this war. Her mind echoed with old words from the academy. Obey, survive, adapt. She'd failed the first, might fail the second, but she would never yield on the third. Echo, she whispered. Estimate time before the Ketheri complete the relay conversion. 17 minutes, 39 seconds. Then I'll need less than that. She reached the central chamber. The sight froze her. A towering Ketheri command node, pulsing with dark light, tethered to the relay spire. Dozens of drones circled it, their movements perfectly synchronized. At its center stood a figure unlike the rest. A Ketheri high strategos, over 3 meters tall, its crystalline body etched with living runes. This was no mere soldier. This was the mind behind the invasion. Maris ducked behind a console, heart hammering. Echo, can you interface with the relay? Partial access possible. However, manual override requires proximity to the core. Meaning I have to get up close, she said grimly. Of course. The strategos turned its glowing eyes toward the shadows, as if sensing her. Its voice resonated not through air, but directly through her helmet's comms, vibrating her bones. Human anomaly detected. You are alone. You are insignificant. Why do you resist? She gritted her teeth. Because surrender isn't in my DNA. Primitive defiance. I offer you absorption. Join the Dominion. Be eternal. Maris stepped out from cover, rifle raised. I'll pass. The ensuing firefight was chaos incarnate. Plasma bolts shredded metal and stone. Maris moved like lightning, using her smaller frame and speed to weave between the drones. Her rifle overheated, forcing her to switch to her sidearm. One drone struck her in the shoulder. Her armor flared, alarms screamed. She stumbled but kept going. She reached the relay spire and slammed Echo's data spike into its base. Run the override. Processing 60% 70. The stratego's advanced energy coalescing in its hands. You will not stop the ascendancy. Maris drew her combat knife, its edge charged with magnetic current, and met the creature head-on. The impact threw sparks across the chamber. The alien was stronger, faster, ancient. But Maris was desperate, human, and stubbornly alive. She stabbed upward, embedding the blade into a glowing seam along the strategos' chest. The creature roared, its light dimming for a moment, but it backhanded her across the room. She crashed against the relay, her visor cracking. Blood filled her mouth. "Echo," she gasped. "Status. 98%. One more second. Override complete." The spire flared brilliant white. A shockwave rippled outward, knocking drones from the air. The Ketheri systems overloaded, their synchronization collapsing. The strategos staggered, its body fracturing into shards. Maris dragged herself to her knees. "Echo, detonate the core. We can't let them rebuild. Warning. Detonation will destroy this facility. And you." "I know," she whispered. "Do it." "Understood." The AI pulsed a final confirmation. Energy surged through the relay. The last thing Maris saw before the explosion was the strategos reaching toward her, not in anger, but almost in recognition. Then everything went white. After the fire silence. Then the faint hum of oxygen flow. The weightless drift of recovery. Maris woke in a medbay surrounded by sterile light. Her body ached from head to toe, but she was alive. Barely. She turned her head to see Captain Varick standing beside her bed, arms crossed. "You're either the bravest soldier I've ever met," he said, "or the dumbest." Maris tried to sit up, grimacing. "Did it work?" He sighed, then handed her a datapad. On it, a tactical display showed the sector. Green, human-held. When the relay blew, it sent a shock through the Ketheri network. They lost coordination across 5 systems. "Our fleets hit them hard while they were blind." "You turned the tide, Cadet." She blinked, processing. "So, we won." "For now," Varick said. "You also disobeyed a direct order, hijacked a fighter, and blew up one of our most expensive installations." She winced. "Oh. I'm court-martialed." He smirked. "Command wanted to. But then the High Council overruled. They're calling you a hero. The Cadet of Draxon." Maris laughed weakly. "Guess that's better than insubordinate lunatic." Varick's expression softened. "You scared the hell out of us, Maris. Don't ever pull something like that again." "No promises," she said with a half-smile. As he left, she turned her gaze to the viewport. Outside, the stars shimmered with quiet promise. The war wasn't over, not by a long shot, but for the first time in years humanity had hope. Then a familiar voice spoke from the medbay console. "Good morning, Cadet Vale." Her eyes widened. "Echo. You survived." "Partial data integrity restored," the AI replied. "Though I am operating at 40% capacity. Shall I resume tactical functions?" Maris smiled faintly. "Yeah. Let's get back to work." Via the shadows of victory weeks passed. Maris was reinstated, promoted to lieutenant, and reassigned to the newly built battleship UAS Valiant. The Dominion had retreated beyond the Expanse, licking its wounds. Humanity celebrated its miracle victory, yet Maris couldn't shake the feeling that something unfinished lingered. Echo had begun detecting strange data fragments embedded within its memory, residual code from the relay explosion. "It appears to be of Ketheri origin," the AI explained during one debrief. "Encrypted but familiar." Familiar how? Maris asked. Because the code structure matches my own. That revelation chilled her more than she cared to admit. You're saying the Ketheri left something inside you? Or perhaps, Echo said, they took something from me. That night, Maris dreamed of the Strategos again, of its eyes burning with intelligence and somehow understanding. You are alone. You are insignificant. Why do you resist? She awoke sweating, heart racing. But she had no time for ghosts. Another transmission came through. Urgent orders. A Ketheri signal had been detected on the edge of human space. The war wasn't over. It was evolving. She suited up, walking the steel corridors of the Valiant as red alert lights pulsed around her. The hangar bay roared to life. The new generation of Ares-class fighters gleamed beneath the floodlights, and at the front stood Vigilant too, her new ship, sleek, deadly, waiting. Echo's voice came through her helmet. Flight systems online. Shall we, Lieutenant? Maris climbed into the cockpit, her gaze hard and unyielding. We shall. The bay doors opened to the void, the stars stretching infinite and cold. The fighter launched into the dark, leaving behind the safety of the fleet. Because that's what Maris Vale did. She disobeyed fear. She disobeyed defeat. She disobeyed orders, when orders meant surrender. And somewhere in the vastness of the galaxy, beyond the burning remnants of Draxon 4, the Ketheri Strategos reformed itself from shards of living crystal, whispering through the void. She resisted. Now we adapt. 6. Epilogue. The spark that started a fire years later, when historians of the Sol Dominion War looked back, they would mark Cadet Maris Vale's disobedience at Draxon 4 as the moment everything changed. The act of one human, young, impulsive, and defiant, had turned despair into resurgence. Her choice inspired a generation of pilots and soldiers to think beyond obedience, to act with conviction rather than fear. In the academies, her name became legend. In the fleet, her words became creed. And in the hearts of every soldier who faced the unknown, her story became reminder. Sometimes, the difference between survival and extinction is one person who refuses to retreat.